Welcome to the Hereby Called podcast, where we focus on preparing the called and reminding the returned by sharing life-changing experiences from serving the Lord. Sit back and relax because you're listening to the best podcast of this dispensation.
Yeah, it's a good one. But you gotta give them like time to develop, you know.
That's it.
Well, welcome back to the Hereby Called podcast. I guess it's a show now that we're on YouTube, but
It's still a podcast.
so we got Jordan and Zach, and today we're sitting across from Drew McMurdy. Drew and I work together, and I used to start with telling a story, and then I stopped. I'm going to tell a story because to me it's worth it. So Drew and I work together, and something I learned really early on about Drew is he's kind of a jokester. He loves a good laugh.
I do.
And we were talking about pranks that we had pulled on other people. And I think maybe you had tried to, I was new to where we're working, so I don't know if you told me something, but I was kind of gullible and like, oh, okay, like whatever. And probably the best thing that I ever heard you tell was when you were working at Albertsons, right? The grocery store.
Yes.
So Drew's from Boise, and that's where Albertsons is headquartered.
Correct.
And anyways, so what Drew would do was he would have, there's like before you're closing the store, you have to like kind of clean up and everything when the guests leave. And anyways, you would give someone a plunger, right?
Newbies.
Yeah.
It's a light hazing.
Yeah. So he'd give them a plunger and be like, hey, we got to make sure that none of these tiles are loose or coming out or anything. So we need you to go around and plunge all the... And
Did you come up with that, or does somebody...
Did that
I had
happen to
heard
you,
it
or-
beforehand. Someone had asked me to do it when
Okay.
when I was new.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not doing that.
yeah.
But then we continued it, and you'd get somebody that's doing it, and a customer walks by, and they're like,
What are you...
Just like
that
going
would,
to town.
That would take a long time, too. It's depending how big the Albertsons
12
is.
by 12 tiles.
Yeah. So the funny thing was, like a year later, I'm at the grocery store and there's a tile that's missing off the ground. And I just can imagine like some 16-year-old like Mr. Drew said. just like, boom.
rips it off. And then they're just, what are you doing? Oh, that's good. That is pretty good.
Yeah, but Drew is a super fan of the show. He's seen or listened to every episode. So it's been a kind of a process trying to get Drew on the show, and we're excited to have him. But Drew,
Excited to be here.
tell us the name of the mission you served in.
Paraguay, Asuncion North.
And when you got your mission call, what were your thoughts? Like, oh, okay, that's going to be like this.
I mean, as many people know, when you fill out your mission paperwork and whatnot, you address whether you're interested in learning a language, going foreign. I put yes. I was excited. I had taken 2 years of French. And then I got called to Paraguay, and my first thought was like, Mexico.
Yeah.
Beans, rice, spicy food, you know.
Yeah.
Culture similar, and couldn't have been farther from the truth.
What was the moment like when you're like, this isn't Mexico?
Was it like, so when you opened your call, you thought it was Mexico, and then you probably went and like looked it up online.
Yeah, so then you start looking up online, and you see what's out there, and then there was actually a young, he was a returned missionary, but he had just come home from Paraguay that was in my stake.
Oh, nice.
And so I went and talked to him and looked at pictures and stories, and I'm like, yeah, it's not Mexico.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Mexico.
Yeah. So for those who think that it might be Mexico, like tell us like what should they expect? Like what's the culture like?
Culturally, I mean, as many know, you were in Brazil, but like there's a huge European influence. And so it's a lot of like European settlers, and there's like some Native American tribes and stuff. There's a lot of that influence. That's how Paraguay was. Paraguay was a little mix of European settlers and Native American Guarani Indians. Guarani's the tribe.
Nice. And we always talk like best and worst What was the best food that you had there? Like, what did you absolutely love?
I mean, we had the best food was like the all-you-can-eat steakhouses.
Yeah.
Oh, like a Brazilian
Like
barbecue
a Brazilian
style.
barbecue, like churrascaria or churrasco. And it was like $8 American dollars, and you eat as much
Right.
as you wanted. That was the best.
Yeah.
There was one in one of my areas that had just opened, and we went there for lunch on a P day, and literally like just ate so much. And the next time we went there on a P day, it was the waitress would serve you your food instead of you going up at like a buffet, because we literally had like
Closing the place down.
yeah.
See, the ones that we had, they would bring you the food. They would like walk it out
On
on
a skewer
skewers,
and
and we
cut
would
it
do
out.
it. Like we went there, like before you went home from your mission. Typically, you'd go with like the mission president.
Oh,
and you'd
nice.
go- like there was a really nice one in Asuncion that we would go to, and
Is that kind of like, is that normal? Like, do the members do churrasco in their house and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean they get a ton of like Argentinian beef. There's
Yeah,
cows
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Beef cows.
That's like
everywhere.
a huge
Yeah. And
product.
so we would get. I mean, they did barbecue,
Yeah,
steak,
yeah.
asado is what they called it, but like all the time, and it would just be like salt, meat, and then like some lime.
Yeah, dude, and it's like the best.
Oh,
and they
we'd
do-
eat it all the time.
Would they do it over a fire or like over a stove?
charcoal?
Yeah. Oh,
Over
see, that
charcoal.
sounds good.
it's just melting in your mouth.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
you eat it with mandioca.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yucca root.
Well,
Okay.
it looks like.
It's like a potato, but there's a stem right down the middle.
Oh, you would
Kinda
just
fibrous.
you would eat it like a baked potato, like a baked mandioc, or
Yeah, they would like cut it in half. And you like take a bite of steak.
yeah.
And, like
we
in the streets, they'd sell like you'd have like street vendors
Uh-huh.
that would have like shish kebabs of like steak, mandioca, steak, mandioca, steak, mandioca.
mandioca in
I'm
Brazil.
sorry, steak and fat. It was just alternating steak and fat,
Yeah.
and then they would also give you a piece of mandioca.
So mandioca in Brazil, they would puree it, I guess, to
It
make it
was
look like
so
mashed
heavy.
potatoes. And my first time eating it, I thought it was mashed potatoes, so I just loaded up my plate with it, and it doesn't even like really taste like anything.
No, it's pretty bland,
Yeah. So I was like, dude, there's something wrong with this mashed potatoes.
dude, and it's really heavy.
Yeah, like
Like it sits heavy.
like
Yeah.
concrete.
They would
Like I felt sick. Like
Well,
yeah.
I can't even imagine eating something like, to me, like a potato is like the heaviest thing I can eat. Like what
think
have I eaten that?
So my brother was in New Zealand, and they called it yucca root. No, they called it. Excuse me. They called it manioke.
yeah, I don't know how to
in
describe it. It
New
looks
Zealand.
like a potato, but it's like
We'll look it up and throw it on the video so you guys can have an idea of what we're talking about.
yeah. I'm gonna put one up. So you talked about some of the good things you ate. What about some of the?
Oh, the worst thing: intestines, cow stomach, blood sausage.
Just byproduct of meat.
Yeah, blood sausage.
All the
Take-
rest of the cow.
Yeah, you take a bite of the blood sausage, and it like explodes as you. Yeah, it's not. Did you guys have
Just
that
like the
in
iron.
Brazil?
We didn't. Oddly enough,
know what
I
they
knew
are?
it's. Yeah, I know it's a big Argentinian thing. Yeah, I never had blood sausage, but I did have cow stomach, bucha. Did you have a lot of fish down there?
No, Paraguay's landlocked.
Okay,
It's
I'm
right
thinking
in the
of
middle,
you.
so
Okay, yeah.
Uruguay's
Yeah.
East Coast, excuse me. But Paraguay's landlocked, and so you'd get fish out of the rivers and stuff, but they don't look like fish. They're ugly and nasty looking.
You're like three
Yeah.
eyes. It's like the
Yeah,
Simpsons.
like, we don't want that.
Dude, it's crazy. Like all the there's tons of fish markets in where I served on my mission, but all of the sewage drains to the rivers that drain to where the fishermen fish and like are like cleaning it, the fish. It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a cassava. It's cassava, but
Cassava root.
mandioca. Dude, I don't know. It doesn't even look that intimidating, but it's pretty.
It looks like
Same thing.
less like
It's-
potato,
It's
more root.
kind of long. Yeah, it looks more rooty. It's kind of
Yeah,
long.
it's like
and it grows like a tall, like 4 or 5 foot tall stalk, and then the roots underground.
Dang.
The other best food that I had was like chicken fried steak, but not chicken. It was crocodile,
whoa,
and it was the best.
that's random.
You mean alligator, right? Isn't alligator? I think crocodile is just Australia.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We just call them jacare, which is the Guarani word for
That's how they say it in Portuguese. Jacaré.
Well, I feel like I struck
it's
out
Guarani,
because
not Portuguese.
I did.
Just kidding.
I did a little research to be prepared, and I brought like empanadas. I was hoping you'd say that you loved empanadas.
That was number 2. Empanadas you could find everywhere in the streets.
I'm sure he's not going to turn down an
Yeah, I won't
empanada.
you can even find them in Mesa, Arizona. And I'm gonna bust these out.
Do it.
And
There they are.
this is these are empanadas.
You got gypped.
You could buy empanadas in the streets. All like, I'm jumping around a little bit.
No, you're good.
In like
Here you go.
schedule wise, we would, and I brought some authentic Mexican Coca-Colas.
We don't have a bottle opener, do we?
You just use your
A bunch of Mormons.
But,
Or is this twist off?
No,
Probably not.
you
Oh
need a
well.
bottle
I'll
opener.
probably use my keys.
we might have to pause for a second. And
no,
I also-
let's keep going.
okay. Well,
Just don't chew on.
that. Camera's not even on.
Oh, it turned off. Yeah, let's pause for a second.
while we start eating. So Drew had sent me an album of pictures, which is fun. I want to do like kind of tell us what's going on. So this first picture looks like a generic dirt road.
Yeah, so this actually is my first day out in the field.
Oh.
So this is like,
It's where it all started.
yeah, get your companion.
Did you have a native trainer or
No, I had a white,
Okay.
an American. But that was the first day. I mean, there would like, excuse me, there's little like trails and stuff. This is like a main road that like if you saw buses and cars ride, they drive on that.
That's the road.
And if you can see it, they call it empedrada, and it's just like broken rocks, and then they stuff them in the dirt and fill it full of sand. And then when the rain comes through and it washes all out, it's like
just
a
rocks.
jagged, nasty, hard to walk on.
Ugh.
Sprain ankle city.
Yeah, tear up your shoes.
I bet there's
sprained
like
ankles.
nasty potholes and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, but that was like most of my areas. I was never in Asuncion. I was never in the city. I was always out in the Chaco, is what they called it, like out in the
Boonies.
boonies. Yeah.
So you put down the top two stories that you wanted to share was the Sosa family Aratiri?
Aratiri was the first area.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So tell us about the Sosas.
So I said like my trainer was awesome. We spent a ton of time with members. We did a lot of work, but we spent a ton of time with members. And I can't say it was like the most efficient time always, but like some of that mentality of like they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care came from him. It was like if you learn to love the people, the culture, learn to love the people, their experiences, their lives, like you'll be a way better teacher. And so the Sosa's family was in my first area, and we spent a ton of time with them. They had adorable little kids that would play with us, that would come to the neighbors and try and talk to them. But it was just like one of the first families that we didn't. The dad wasn't a member; the rest of the family was. And we would teach them all the time, but it was just. For me, that family was like starting off was just like learn to love the people.
Those were the first people we learned to love.
The first
That's
awesome. Family was just learn to love them, and then you can teach them. Then you can help them.
It's a good lesson. Oh, this next one. Yeah, so what's going on?
Oh
here?
yeah. Let me guess. Soccer games.
Soccer
going on.
match.
Yep.
You don't want to pay to go in. You stand on your motorcycle and you watch the game over the fence.
I like how everyone has a motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
Everyone. It's public transit or you ride a motorcycle.
It is probably just like, I mean, it's probably just like two neighborhoods playing each other, right? It's not like a state team,
Yeah.
that's
it's
how-
just neighborhoods at that point. This actually, so this is my second area, and we were like 2.5, 3 hours. Actually, we were about 3 hours from any other missionaries.
That's out there.
Yeah. And so it's called San Stanislao, and it's just out in the middle of nowhere. And so you'd get like, it's like a decent sized city, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. So there was like 4 or 5 clubs in the city, and just like rival clubs just across the way. And
Is it like football in the South where like everything stops, like everyone goes to watch the game? And
yeah, it'd be depending on like their rival barrios, neighborhoods. Like it would be hard to contact people and see because they're in Asuncion. There was the 2 like big teams. It was Cerro Porteño and Olimpia, and like when those are, that's like Clásico, and everyone watches it.
Just in South America in general, it's just like this picture. I'm assuming this is maybe a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon. You know, like everybody.
Yeah, it's 4:45 at night.
Yeah.
So
And so everybody just, I'm sure right around here there's all these different bars and stuff like that.
Restaurant, little like outdoor patio stuff.
Yeah. So I think that's just
a culture thing.
Yeah,
It's
South
just-
America in general. If you get called to South America, like you will be immersed in this, right? Like
a lot of people grow up playing rec soccer, like YMCA soccer or whatever, but like you don't understand the cultural significance to like a ball. It could be 90% deflated and you get a bunch of poor kids running around on a dirt field between two trees and they're kicking the ball. And that's all you need. You don't need any equipment.
I would see just balls of twine that would go around like a hay bale, and they just wrap them up, and it's enough to go.
Kick a ball around.
Yeah.
So this next picture looks like you're on a road going somewhere.
Looks rainy.
This is the same area as the last picture. Saint-Denis. It rain all the time. You just put your jacket on, put your poncho on, and go for a walk.
Yeah.
And just another picture, like this is not an empedrada road. This is like not the rocky road, but it's just dirt.
That's what a road looks like there.
Yeah,
No sidewalks, nothing. You're just walking on a road. And
So when you'd go do street contacts and people would say, does this road have a name?
No.
Yeah. So how would they? Let's talk about that for a second.
Go to
Go
such
yonder.
and such dispensa
Uh-huh.
store, just like the store
A
outside someone's
landmark.
house.
They'd
Yeah.
say from the landmark.
There's a field with a bunch of cows. Turn right. There's a huge mango tree where the next house.
Yeah.
That's all the time. Baptismal records, the same thing.
yeah, how do you put that in the area book?
You
Like,
just do. You just do.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing in Brazil. I remember one street had 10, probably not 10, maybe like 8 number 7 houses, and I was like, "What? Why is it?" And they're like, "That's my favorite number." So like it's the number 7 or number 9 is the best soccer player, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm house number 7, and so we'd go to like all these different houses and finally got to the right guy.
dang.
Some of the roads, some of them did have like names that you could find if you were like looked hard and looked at maps and figured it out. But like you could write that down in the area book, but no one's going to find that again.
Yeah. So did you ever whitewash an area?
No, I was in an area for like a week, and then the
'Cause
I came in and got special transferred out.
I would
And
just
so then I was like, oh, I got like,
Yeah.
That's intimidating.
because you
There's
look
no
at
street signs.
Exactly. You look at your book and you're like, I'll never. I have no idea who these people.
The
are.
only way you can do it is working with members.
Yeah.
You just talk to members, talk to neighbors. In Paraguay, people are awesome. They're so friendly. They'll sit down and let you talk to them for an hour under their mango tree outside their house, give you water, Coke,
Cool. What's this next one, Jordan? Again, that looks kind of like.
This looks like it
it
like
rained a
calm,
little bit.
peaceful.
Yeah,
river.
This is a little peaceful, calm river. This is the same area, Saint-Denis. We had a member that his family would go anaconda hunting. And so we're like,
for fun.
yeah,
For
and
like
we eat them.
You
The
eat them?
food,
Okay.
yeah.
They
okay.
would.
Did you ever eat anaconda?
I didn't ever eat anaconda.
Did you see an anaconda?
I did.
Are they
Was it like-
And I brought home skin.
Was it
And made
intimidating?
belts and wallets.
out of anaconda?
Yeah.
Like you saw a live one?
Yeah.
Was it like massive?
Like a few feet.
Like
4 or
5 feet? Yeah, that's pretty big.
It was a good size.
It's not like the 50-foot
no,
eating
no. Eating like
ice
horses.
cube or
No.
whatever.
I'm sure they exist.
I'm sure. But so this is we went out and rode on the back of motorcycles out in the like we were like 3 hours from Elders, so it was like an hour and a half drive on motorcycles.
This is a P day. You're going
Yeah, on a P
anaconda
day.
hunting,
And
and so that's
the member we just had like machetes. The member had a shotgun. We're like, we're sweet, we're going out. And had these funky like traps with big old fat things of meat hanging like a foot above the water. And they'd have them like staged out in this land.
Oh my
Out
gosh.
in the middle of nowhere. And we're like, dude, this is sweet. You're like, all you can think of is like all of the crazy movies. I'm like, dude, this is totally sweet. We're going to find something and kill it. But we didn't.
you didn't even see anything. It's just a peaceful, beautiful river.
Yeah.
And so this next picture is you guys.
That's us heading back home.
Nice.
But just like dirt, sandy roads, and just cruising.
So this next one, I already kind of saw it, this big old fat tarantula.
The first time I'd ever seen a tarantula, like some people had them, like as like a pet, like somebody would have them, but not very frequent. And I remember teaching a lesson, like it was like a week before that. It was the first time I'd seen it out in the wild. We were like teaching a lesson, and I like thought I saw something and kind of looked past the member, and there's a freaking tarantula over there. And she's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. I was like, do you want to kill it? And like, no, they don't hurt anything. I'm like, it's just a tarantula. Go kill it. What are you doing? And so then like a week later, we woke up, and we're on the second story. Like we were above like some shops. It was a guy named Jose and his family that had like a store, a little restaurant in their house. And we were up above them. And like I remember waking up bright and early, getting ready to do like exercises or study, and there was like this tarantula as big as my hand just sitting on the floor, like just hanging 3 or 4 feet away from my bed. So I grabbed like a thing of bug spray and a lighter and thought, dude, I'm gonna scorch this. And like lit it up, like tried to flame it, and it like took off and scurried into like this little corner. In the picture you can kind of see there's like a crack behind there.
Oh yeah.
So that's probably where it
so
lived
it like
or something.
scurried. I hope not, but it's not there anymore. I promise you that. So like scurried into this little hole, and then I found like this random piece of rebar that was like part of them building onto next to our house. Like found this piece of rebar and was like jamming it in there and trying to kill this thing. Then like poured some oil and crap in there, and we like lit it on fire. We're like, we're gonna kill this thing.
Okay,
It's never happening.
It's intimidating too. Like, did you guys have like a lot of mosquitoes and stuff like that?
all the time.
Yeah, but
You
like
had bugs everywhere.
a tarantula, like, it's a little bit different because they're like quiet,
That's
you know, and they're big, you know. This thing's out to get
filthy. So long story short, we tried to kill it, and then we felt like just gross. It's like, do this thing. I don't know. We like ran to the hardware store and got like bleach and cleaned like everything that we could find. The floors, we cleaned everything. And then the funny part of the story is we like went to work. We like went out teaching, tracting, whatever. We came back at the end of the day, and this like decrepit, half alive tarantula was like still crawling around on our floor.
Oh.
And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? So I grabbed the only like cooking pan that we had, this pot, and I was like, wham, and I trapped it. I'm like,
Now what?
yeah, exactly. And so my companion, Elder Campbell's like, dude, what are we doing? I'm like, I'm just gonna kill it. He's like, how? I'm like, I'm gonna shake it. He's like, okay. So I just like shook the pan as hard as I could. You could hear it like, doo, 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 doo. And then like pulled the pot up real slowly, and it was clearly dead. I grabbed it in a paper bag and threw it off the balcony, like out in the road. Then we washed the pan, and then we cooked dinner out of it.
Tasted a little different that day.
Oh, it tasted fine, but like, so that's that story. The tarantula, the killer tarantula.
Well, speaking of food, I got the. It looks like you guys. One, you look so happy in this picture.
Yeah, so happy.
For the viewers, he's the closest one on the right.
Yes.
The one with the biggest grin.
The biggest grin.
Yeah, this was just like a P-Day activity. We like as a district or zone, I don't recall. We got permission to ride the buses into Asuncion and go to Pizza Hut.
They had a Pizza Hut.
They had a Pizza Hut. We were so excited to go to Pizza Hut. If you like zoom in on the picture, there is hot dogs cut up on the pizza.
That's your pepperoni?
I guess. It was gross.
Did they have weird pizza down there? Because
Yeah, they had like some random stuff they would do.
they would do tuna and corn,
Yeah,
like,
same thing.
and then they do like dessert pizzas. But then they do these. They would have. It's almost like I don't know, man. They would put like mayonnaise on their pizza, and I don't know how to describe it, but it was actually really good.
This was like it's like a sour cream mayonnaise kind of thing that came with them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what that is.
Traditional it is.
So you get your pizza, and you get hot dogs, but you're still happy.
Yeah, I mean, it was pizza.
It's a double thumbs up in this picture.
Yeah.
It tasted good. It was pizza. It was American food for the most part. They had like cheese and they had like Hawaiian.
Yeah.
But like I remember taking a picture of that one, being like, "Why is there hot dogs on my pizza?"
Pepperoni.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
So this next
was-
picture, Jordan has this to me sums up like South America.
Oh yeah.
It's
They're
this
just-
massive
What'd you guys
bus.
call them?
Onibus.
Onibus. In Paraguay, they call them colectivos.
Yeah. that
And so
makes
you
more
just
sense.
stand on. You just stand on. I know.
Yeah, just a collective.
A collective.
The thing looks like there's like 60 people in it.
Dude, You'd be surprised.
No joke. A regular bus, like you got 2 seats on each side.
Yeah.
They would put 3 deep in the aisle. One person facing one way, one person the other way, and the guy in the middle just
has to suck it up.
Yeah,
dude.
you pick which way you're facing.
Yeah, I remember like going to zone conference or depending on where it was, and you'd have to get them. This is like rush hour, right? So people going to or from work and just jamming into the bus. I remember legit. I don't know if they did this. They were like in a bus station. They would push like,
dude. People would be like
hanging out,
stick their arm up and like to call for the bus. And they like slow down, and then they're just like pushing people in and trying to get out.
Yeah,
like
that's the other half of the battle.
And you got to try and stay with your companion. There was only I remember like 1, maybe 2 times that like I got off the bus and my companion saw that or vice versa,
and didn't get off in time,
and didn't get off, and like pulling the string to get off, and then like walking up the road to get my companion.
Yeah, that
like,
happened to me.
Too many people, you can't get off.
That sounds like that's like a cultural shock moment when you get on this bus and
Oh
like
yeah,
in the U.S. like you don't touch
And
people, and they're like it is
stinky
all
people. Yeah,
Well,
I guess
and
as an
I'm sure
American,
just the body heat and
as an American, you don't really like you like your space.
Yeah,
right? Hey, this is my
don't touch
bubble.
me.
Then all of a
If someone
sudden
touches me,
you're
it's like,
literally
whoa.
just like jammed in this bus.
you're a 19-year-old, 18, 19, 21-year-old kid, 20-year-olds too, but 18, 19, 20, 21. You know, you're a fairly young kid. I remember getting on the bus right at in Calcupe was the area. There was a local university. I remember like getting on. There was a bunch of girls that got on the bus, and we were riding like 3 deep.
Yeah,
in the middle aisle.
And you're just like mosh pit by a bunch of
and you're just
girls
like
your
right
age.
on top of girls. I remember looking at my companion like, what do we do?
yeah,
And he's like, just keep going.
yeah.
Act
No,
natural.
and like I wish you like
Think of cold shower. Like think of anywhere than where you're at, because like that's just what it is.
there's no personal boundaries on a bus.
Yeah.
like legit, like you're touching people on all sides.
Yeah.
Like it's just
and so like the people sitting right up next to if you're sitting, you got someone like right here,
Yep.
you know, and then those people are holding on to the tops of the chairs, and then the person that's in the middle is holding the rail above the chairs, so their armpits are just like
In your face.
in your face, and so you just get used to it.
Dang.
All the that one.
So is that
half
one
the
elder in
windows.
the back and then another elder
No,
in the front?
we were actually in a taxi.
Oh, okay.
Going for transfers. We were going to. That's another thing in Paraguay. And whenever there was transfers, they would go to the temple, and then right next to it was a church. They called it the Capilla Moroni, but the Moroni's church building, Moroni's church. But anyway,
That's
so
what they called the LDS Church, Moroni's Church.
No, Moroni's Chapel.
Moroni's chapel, Capilla's chapel.
That's just the name of the chapel.
It was like the nickname of the LDS church that was next to the temple.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so everyone would transfer into that one area, and there was like a meeting, and then everyone would leave from there. So we were heading in, and I was like, dude, that's like the perfect picture. Because normally you're on it. You know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's funny. I totally had forgotten what that's like until I saw that picture.
It's an experience.
So if you have your mission call and you're going, I would say that's a South America thing just in general,
Yeah.
maybe a Mexico thing. I don't know. I really like that we're getting these visuals to kind of help prepare some of these people. Or if you're a mom and your kid's in South America and he talks about the bus, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think if it's all right with you, I kind of want to transition more into.
Yeah, let's go to
that-
Let's go to the baptism photo.
Or you want to go to the baptism photo?
Yeah,
I was going to ask about the people.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
okay,
the
tell-
culture. Let's talk about the culture, the people there.
Tell us about the niños in that picture.
So this is the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thumbs up. And I noticed there's a lot of thumbs up in these pictures.
Culturally, I don't know if that was in Brazil.
That's
just everyone hang loose, thumbs up, like all the time. They don't.
Is there anything
Yeah,
about
Brazil was
hang
hang loose.
looses, but they just like every picture. It just culturally, everyone always gives you thumbs up.
Beleza.
This picture,
That little kid in the bucket doesn't look
Just-
like he's having two. Does he have a thumbs up?
no thumbs up. But like this was my last area. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It was like super poor. Like 90% of the houses in the area are like dirt floor. A lot of them are tents out of like road signs and stuff. like kind of a canvas,
Yeah.
like tarp material. And
Is that
like,
one family?
that was one family, yeah.
Yeah, we'd see that a lot.
And they
Are loving life.
They're happy. They don't know any better. They're happy. That 5-gallon bucket is like with them bathing. That was like taking a bath. They take a bath every few days, go swimming in the nasty rivers and clean up. But like, they don't know any better. And they're happy. And they had 3 older sisters that we had taught the family, and the 3 older sisters got baptized. But like these little kids would just loving life.
That's awesome.
The people, you don't, the world we live in, there's so much stuff.
So
all the time.
materialistic.
Yeah, and even
It's
if
just fast.
even if you're not trying to be, like, it just is. Like, that's the culture, that's the society we live in. And like, the people would have nothing. Like a freaking tarp from a house. They're stealing power off a power line. They're like, I knew families that were like picking oranges and mangoes off the ground because that's off in the streets, like, because that's all the food they had. But you could talk to them and they're happy. They don't have things to complain about. And like, it just, as a missionary, it humbled me like tons to realize that like, you don't need all the other crap sometimes. Like, all you need is your life, being happy. I mean, obviously they need the gospel and we try and share it with them. But the people that were like that, when you teach them the gospel, it just clicks and they understand it and they don't have all these other things to worry about to like take up their time and everything. It just, I don't know, just different. People are humble and come from such humble surroundings, background, that's like, I look at the picture and I'm like, man, it's kid bathing in a 5-gallon bucket, but like, that's life for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we see it and it's kind of funny. It's kind of interesting.
Tim is taking a bath like it's just having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what you had said. It kind of humbled you as a missionary. It's almost like a cultural reset. I remember experiencing that and seeing a lot of other missionaries experience that. Even when you serve in the United States, right, or in the Deep South, there's still a lot of things that kind of give you that cultural reset. That kind of make you realize that, hey, what's most important about this life is being happy and being happy with what you have, not really striving for more. So yeah, that's awesome. And it's really cool that, that the kid who's in the bucket might be 4 years old, 3-4 years old. And that's all he will know his entire life, is to be happy with what he has. So that's cool.
So yeah, tell us this next picture.
The next one, this is my last area. That was the previous picture was from my last area as well, but they had talked, this is a mom and her son, no dad involved, and they had talked to missionaries 12 times. And I don't know why or what, but like, we showed up and they were like, come on in. We talked to them a bunch of times. They talked to missionaries a bunch of times, and for whatever reason, like between Elder Canales and myself, like it clicked and they were interested.
What do you think that was?
I don't know.
Because that happens a lot. You get these investigators that have been through like 10, 12.
Listening to some of the other episodes, I mean, I think it's across the board. Like, as you go as a missionary, there's those stories or thoughts that's like, there's that one person that only I'm going to be able to get to, right? And whether that's your experiences with, I can't remember, one of the guys said music, right? It was like, I don't know what my episode that was. Anyway, but like, you have some soccer or music or something that it just clicks. And sometimes it's personalities, being friendly to people. tried to kind of live by the motto of like work hard, play hard as a missionary. You're not there to just be miserable for 2 years. Like, that's not what you're there for. Like, men are that they might have joy, have fun, enjoy it. And then the other one, the biggest one, was like, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So like, if you can get down and talk to them and teach, like, if they can feel like you care about them, even if they're not accepting the invitations and stuff, well, then they're going to listen. Like, if they get to the point, like, so Paraguay was Spanish and Guarani. And they called it Jopara, which is kind of a mix of the two. And I don't know, in the MTC, I remember them saying, like, man, once you learn the language, people are going to be so grateful that you know their language that they're just going to listen to you. Paraguay wasn't that way. You could talk Spanish to these people, and some of them didn't care because their native language is Guarani. Like, if you learned Guarani, if you spoke to them in Guarani, then people would care. Then people would listen.
Did they teach you that in the MTC?
No.
Oh, so you had to
Yeah.
learn it yourself.
And I spent 90% of my mission, 95% of my mission, like, out in the sticks.
Where
out in
they're
the
speaking
boonies.
more
Yeah.
Guarani than Spanish.
And so, like, I would write down things all the time, Guarani dictionary, asking people. And so I was, at that point in time, I was one of the missionaries that probably spoke the most Guarani in our mission. And like, but you could carry on conversations. If you could start to carry on conversations with people in Guarani, they're like, this white kid from America is speaking like this native language here. They would listen. And so I just decided I was going to keep trying to learn it. And so I don't know what,
For some reason it clicked.
yeah. And they like read the whole Book of Mormon and wanted to get baptized. And then they said, like, we don't, it was a rented church building in this area. It was small. It was just like a rented house room. And we had like a big plastic blue font that they'd fill up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we don't want to get baptized there. Jesus was baptized in a river. Can we get baptized in a river? Like, absolutely.
As a missionary, like, oh
Absolutely.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So that was an awesome experience. That was actually like 2 weeks before I came home.
That's awesome.
That's an awesome way to end.
Yeah, look at that. That looks like the baptism of Jesus right there. That's pretty cool.
The very next picture
Uh-huh.
was like a week right before I came home. We taught this lady, same area. We taught this lady. She wasn't married to her spouse, wasn't married to her husband. Of like 30 years, 40 years. She's elderly. I mean, she's old.
Uh-huh.
And so like she came to this baptism and was like, I just wish I could. I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to have faith. And it was like Christmas. I came home December 31st. So I got back to the States on New Year's Eve. And it was like Christmas. We had like a ward party. It was like 2 or 3 days before we leave. And she like calls and she's like, my husband said we get married. Like, huh? She's like, yeah, he already like called the judge and like, we're getting married. Can I get baptized? We're like, that's it. Like,
That was the best question.
We had taught her everything. And so we like hurried and planned it. And if you look at that picture, I'm soaked head to toe.
Mm-hmm. Did you fall?
No. So we rode motorcycles and one of the members had a car and we like drove out to this spot where they want to get baptized in the river. And so like I kind of went off the way to like change into my whites. And as I'm like changing, I'm like pulling my pants up, getting ready to walk back. And I heard a bunch of screaming. And it was like her, a bunch of kids, and some of the members' kids. And one of the kids had fallen in and didn't know how to swim. And so I was like looking at this river and like I was downstream. So I start like walking upstream looking in the river and I see this kid like flailing in the water. And it was probably like a 4 or 5 foot high embankment. Like it was cut. And so just like, I don't know, Geronimo'd in there and saved this little kid. I like come walking out of the water with the kid and like, here you go. And it's like, okay, everyone settle down. We're getting to baptism.
Save 2 souls today.
That's
so
right.
it was kind of cool.
Was that normal, or did you normally do like
no,
a font baptism?
That was, to be honest, that was the only area that I baptized in the river.
Gotcha. I never.
And
did
to
that.
be honest, I wouldn't have probably wanted to in the other rivers, but this was like way out in the sticks, and so like And we
Doesn't
drove
trash
like
or
20
anything.
minutes. Yeah, we drove like 20 minutes out. So it was probably from like local streams and stuff coming up out of the ground or rivers and stuff. So like it was fairly clean. I wouldn't drink it, but I'd swim in that water.
That's cool.
And then this next one, Elder Campbell. That's who you just had, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Elder Campbell was in Saint Denis. So I was in the area. We got one of the elders got special transferred out. So it was just Elder Campbell and I at that point. We were only together for 2 transfers, but it was like 2 weeks,
Part of
2 transfers, and then he left on a special transfer. But we just like, it was a hard area, and we just put our nose down, and I kind of had written down there in my notes is like dedication, obedience. You just learn to be obedient, do everything you can on your side so that the Lord can help you. And it was hard. I mean, like there was lessons I think we had to learn and did learn. We had some scary experiences where like had promptings like, it's time, leave. Like in the middle of lesson, like, nah, it's leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then like seeing people walk around the streets after some with machetes and like weird mob protest riot thing. And we would have been like behind that if we hadn't like had that feeling, gotten up and left. And so work hard, play hard. That was kind of where I learned that was like we can have even if you're being obedient and like striving to be the very best you can.
You still play hard.
Diligently, you can still play hard. You can still love the people and play with them and have a good time. And then
I think that's a hard lesson to learn, honestly.
I think a lot of people, they're like, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember going on exchanges. I became a district leader like my 3rd or 4th transfer. I never was his own leader. I trained a handful of elders, but like I was a district leader like forever, and I was babysitting throughout my mission. There was a bunch of elders that I was babysitting that wanted to go home, didn't want to be there. Mission president's like, good luck, have fun.
Yeah.
But like I remember going on transfers during one of those times, and one of the companionships that I was visiting had an elder that didn't want to be there, and so I was with him. And anyway, we flip-flop, but I remember having the conversation, like, he's like, man, Elder McCarty, you're like always happy. And like how, like, it sucks sometimes. The work is hard and it sucks sometimes. Like how do you find joy? It's like, dude, you just kind of like figure it out. Like, I don't have like the magic key, but like find stuff, be happy. If like people are playing soccer in the streets, go play with them. Like, if nothing else, they're going to see like a bunch of missionaries like, hey, these are cool guys.
Yeah.
Like, don't be scared of them. They won't be scared of you if they see you like playing and stuff. And that it's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be an LDS cultural lesson. I don't know. Because I had to learn that on my mission. And we've talked about it 1,000 different times in 1,000 different episodes, is learn how to be yourself, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to find joy in serving.
You have to find joy in serving. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't,
Yeah.
like
It's hard.
then you can't blame the guy for being like, oh, I want to go home. It's like, because I'd want to go home too
Yeah.
if it was just suffering. There's a difference between serving and suffering.
Yeah,
How much do you enjoy it?
I knew some of the most obedient missionaries that absolutely hated their mission because they didn't learn to have fun in serving.
And I left a girl when I went on my mission. I left a girl, and I can't remember who or what, but I remember someone telling me, it's like, if you only focus on the Lord, then He'll worry about your stuff. Do His work, and He'll do your work. And so, like, my family, this girl, like, and she's not. I'm happily married to my current wife. It's not her. I'm glad it's not. But like, go and focus and do the Lord's work and enjoy it.
Yeah. I remember in preparing and leaving, somebody told me, the Lord will never forget what you do for Him during these 2 years. It's up to you, I the Lord, what is it? I the Lord am bound when you do what I say.
Yeah.
If you don't, hey,
You have
no
no
promise. So it was, if you serve diligently and you do a good job and you work hard, He'll never forget that. And I think that's what stuck with me my whole mission.
In that area with Elder Campbell in Saint Denis, I remember walking. It was like right when we were struggling, and we're like, dude, we got to figure out how to have fun, enjoy the service. And there was a bunch of kids playing soccer. We went and played with them. and one of the kids was a member, inactive, and he was like, "Hey, the missionaries just come to our house." So we went to his house. "Where are you at? Like, come on over, you know." So we went to his house, met with the dad. The dad was less active. He was separated from the mom. The mom was still active. And there was 2 kids that were like 10 and 8 and 10, 9 and 11, something like that. But they like, "We want to get baptized." And the dad's like, "I'll support them." The mom is still a member and she's active. Like, so we taught all the lessons and kept trying to reactivate the dad, but he wasn't interested. But like those two children ended up getting baptized. And that's kind of
That's a result of you.
Norberto and Natel were the name of the 2 kids. And that was a result of playing soccer. That was a result of like, it was probably a half
Enjoying
hour.
the work, yeah.
Yeah, it was probably like a half hour, maybe an hour that like they were playing. And we like, "Take your bags off.
Yeah,
loosen
totally.
up your tie and go play." Like, you're still in church shoes, but like, go play.
Yeah.
I
I think a lot of missionaries would overlook opportunities like that to kind of,
to knock on doors.
yeah, and not only that, but every time you have that, there's a reason why you still wear that badge on P days too. It's because like you represent more than yourself. So regardless of knocking doors or loosening your tie a little bit to go and play some soccer, you're still representing the Lord. And I'm sure we learn about, Christ's earthly ministry. I'm sure he still had fun.
Well, like, and you see it now, like in today's day and age with social media and elders having access to that, you see it, like elders playing basketball and schooling people and like
yeah.
elders dancing, like with street performers and stuff.
And
Like,
people love it.
you see it. Yeah. And it humanizes the elders.
Totally.
So you're not just
You're
not just this robot that's knocking doors.
a gospel robot here
Yeah.
to call you to repentance. It's like,
Yeah.
no, dude, I'm kind of a person too.
yeah.
That Norberto and Natel was kind of a cool story. The day that they were getting baptized was like after church on a Sunday. The dad didn't work on Sundays. He wanted to come to the baptism, obviously. So we like had everything prepared, went to the church early, got everything prepared and ready. Then went and got other investigators came to church. After church, we're like getting ready to do the baptism. I'm sorry. When we're at church, this like grandpa that we've never met before and this kid named Ignacio show up. And we're like, "Hey, where are you from? Where are you at?" And this is Santini, so it's like 2.5, 3 hours away.
So you've seen everyone that's ever been to
Oh
church.
yeah. We've seen everyone. I was there 4 transfers, almost 4 transfers. Like you've seen everyone that comes. And he was like, "No, he's here. My grandson's here to be baptized." We're like, "Huh?" It's like the day that Norberto and Natel are getting baptized. And it's like, he's here to get baptized. It's like, "Well, where are you from? What are you doing?" But they live like 2 hours from the church. And so they only come like twice a year. And he was old enough. He was ready to be baptized. So he like showed up and we're like, "What do you do?" And called the mission president. He said, "No, interview him." Like the kid knew everything. And it's like this family that was living on farmland, like a few hours from a church. And the family reads scriptures and they do their own little, like, they don't do the sacrament, but like kind of have their own little, this is pre-COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but they're like doing their own thing. And this kid showed up like, "I'm ready to be baptized." And hindsight, looking back at it, like everything was prepared. The baptismal font at that church took like 4 hours to fill up. And so hindsight, the soccer, playing soccer led to teaching these kids, preparing the baptismal font for the day that some other kid that only comes once a year shows up.
The day that
the font's ready and everything. And we already have a program. We're already scheduled. And like everything just fell in place. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I kind of got some wrapping up questions. Are there any other stories you want to share? I kind of want to get to maybe some advice or.
No, as I was like looking through and looking at pictures and diary journals and stuff, looking at it, like I would say for missionaries going out, like learn and study the most you can about the culture and the people. Understanding that people have like this native belief, this familial cultural belief in Catholicism or whatever it is. Like you can learn to have an appreciation for that and also help them get past it once you understand it. So like I would talk to everyone you can that has served, especially people that come from your mission. It's not easy. There's hard days. You get in the shower in the morning and you get electrocuted because that's the only kind of shower you have.
Dude, that's happened to me. I thought I was gonna die.
Like, it's not easy. There's hard days that you put your heart and soul into like helping teach people, and they don't want your help, and like it just crushes you. But like having that understanding that that's going to happen, I think helps prepare you for like
when it does happen.
When it does happen, it's going to happen. There's people that don't want to change, and that's going to happen. There's also people that, for whatever reason, culturally, music, whatever, that you are going to be the person that can help them.
That's perfect.
That is perfect. And any advice for those who have come back from their missions? Because that transition is just as hard. It's just as, going from super spiritual all the time, being a missionary, to, okay, go live your life now.
Yeah, I would say, like, for me, when I came home, it felt like I had all the freedom in the world. There's no schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You can sleep in if you want.
There's not someone roughly your same age next to you 24/7.
Yeah. I came home New Year's Eve, and so like I had a few weeks before school trying to get a job back lined up. It felt like all the freedom in the world was there. But and I struggled. I struggled, to be frank, like worthiness, all sorts of stuff, because I came home and felt like the world's at your fingertips. Do what you want, you know? And I feel bad. Like looking back, I feel like silly that I just spent 2 years teaching and studying, and I came back and like screwed up, made mistakes. But like if you keep that schedule and understand the importance of scripture study and having the Spirit and doing those things, like all of the things you learn are healthy, good habits to have for studying for school, work, looking for a wife, like all of those things. So like use the things that you learned and continue to apply them. Understand the bounds of that freedom when you come home, that it's not just endless.
Including repentance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on and
Of course,
sharing your
thank you.
experiences.
I appreciate it.
Would you mind wrapping up with your testimony? And I don't know if you can
Spanish or Guarani.
Spanish or Guarani,
The Guarani is hard.
Yeah.
what's the combination?
Whatever you can do your.
They call it Jopara.
Jopara. If you want to throw in a little Guarani to make it Jopara.
Yo sé que el evangelio de Jesucristo es verdadero. Yo sé que en esta vida tenemos muchos problemas y muchas dificultades, y por medio del Espíritu Santo y por medio de la oración y el fe, que nosotros podemos sobrar todos los problemas que hay. Yo sé que José Smith fue un profeta de Dios, que por medio de él se restauró el evangelio de Jesucristo con el sacerdocio y con todas las cosas que tenemos en esta vida. Hay que Dios nos ama y que nos mandó aquí para que probamos todas las bendiciones que Él tiene para nosotros. Yo sé que por medio de Él podemos sobrar y que podemos pasar todas las cosas malas que pasan en la vida, y que podemos vivir con fe y con las bendiciones que Dios tiene para nosotros. Y esas cosas digo en el nombre de Jesucristo. Amén.
Amen. Drew, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
That wraps up this show and this year-long me chasing you down. But I'm glad we finally got you on.
Yeah, likewise. It's been
Thank
great.
you.
I don't know. I never know how to.
we
end this
never
thing.
have.
Like,
We